What's happening, everybody? Episode 40, the Big 40, coming at you live here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk.com. We've got an action-packed show for you this week. We're going to be joined by the USL Goalkeeper of the Year, Mitch Hildebrandt. We're going to talk about his season, what a success it was, and maybe some things on the forefront when it comes to him and his relationship with FC Cincinnati moving forward. Of course, we're also going to talk a little MLS expansion. We're going to be joined by Chad Smith from a Kansas City soccer blog, The Blue Testament. He recently put out some rankings regarding MLS expansion and where he thinks FC Cincinnati falls among the cities up for MLS expansion. And, of course, we'll talk about the U.S. match on Friday night against Mexico. Maybe look ahead to the match coming up a little bit later on this evening in Costa Rica. Of course, we want to hear from you, FC Cincinnati fans. Get in touch with us on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk. You can also email us, cincysoccertalk@spnt.tv. And, of course, you can always give us a call at 513-399-KICK. That's 513-399-KICK. Let's welcome back to the program. It's been a while. Brad Weigel. How you doing, Brad?
Hey, not too bad. Voice is finally just getting recovered from Friday night up in Columbus, but had a great time up there with a lot of FC Cincinnati fans.
It looked like you had a fun time up there with your brother in Boston, and I'm looking forward to hearing about your experience, of course. Josef Sagaya is also back with us this week, although your experience Friday night was not nearly as exciting as Brad's.
I'm always excited to get extra sleep and live vicariously through my friends, so I had a great time.
And last but not least, Brian Weigel. Brian, welcome back, my friend.
Thanks. I had a great time on Friday with Boston. Now the other person in our party, I can't remember his name. I guess he's okay. But great time. Great to be back in the studio here talking some FC Cincinnati, getting the garbage of U.S. men's national team soccer out of my mind for at least an hour.
I'm digging the new backdrop. For those of you listening to the podcast, we do record the show live with video now. But Brian, you've got a nice little sign behind you there.
Yeah, super excited. Was contacted by Brian Haynes and a couple members of the Queen City Mafia to have their Mitch Says No poster hung up in studio for tonight's special event with our star goalkeeper. So Mitch, hopefully we'll be able to get a picture of this at some point, but it's pretty cool, and I'm glad those guys reached out.
Well, speaking of our special guest, let's welcome in the USL Goalkeeper of the Year, the one and only Mitch Hildebrandt. Mitch, thanks for joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoying being here, and I'm glad you guys finally got me on. What has it been, like 11 months? I've been waiting for the call, so I'm glad I actually got it.
I'll take the blame for that one. I apologize, Mitch. We're glad to have you, though. First of all, congratulations on just a tremendous year with the club and with the award. I mean, that's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It does. I like to, give all the credit to the whole team. I mean, realistically, we defend all the way from Ugo all the way back. So, I kind of got recognized for it, but our whole team deserves a part in it. Just based on everything that we do as a team, and but it's nice to be recognized and get it for sure.
Well, I want to take a little step back, Mitch, and just kind of go through about how you yourself got here to Cincinnati. I'm not sure if all of our fans know about your time in Minnesota, and then just kind of how you got here and how you've enjoyed your time here so far in Cincinnati.
Yeah. I was in. So I graduated from Oakland University, and then went to Minnesota on trial. Got signed in Minnesota, and I had 4 years there. 4 tough years to be honest. I mean, it was, but it was good for me to kind of get that tough mindset and kind of just battle. And then was able to get 15 games in 4 years, and I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it helped me to get here because John and Ryan saw those games, and for what I did there, they wanted me to come here. They thought that'd be a good fit for the team, and I had some conversations with John last off season. So a year from now, and Yeah, I just fell in love with the project from what they were doing here. You know, John was really passionate about it. And obviously, you know, when a guy like John Hart starts talking about something football related, you get really excited about it. And I wanted to be a part of it instantaneously. So, you know, it was nice to have the club that wanted me to be here. And, you know, I think I just wanted to come in and prove John and Ryan that they made a good choice and kind of took a gamble on me, and you know, I wanted to repay them. So yeah, I mean, I loved my time here so far, and you know, everybody's been, you know, Cincinnati's great, and you know, my wife and I, we really enjoy the city, and we figure out new things every day, so that's always fun. And yeah, I mean, it's good to be happy and to be in a place where you know, where you enjoy your football and enjoy your family life as well.
Now, Mitch, the first time a lot of FC Cincinnati fans got to see you in person was through the Xavier friendly in the preseason. So, and something that really stuck out to us and, you know, obviously grew to be huge is this chant of Mitch says no. I mean, there are banners, shirts, a whole tifo. So I don't want to use the word mascot. I guess face of the franchise might be a better word. How did it feel to have that kind of phrase and your name associated with it? Because, you know, every FC Cincinnati fan, when you say Mitch says no, will know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's more of an honor to me. Rather, I mean, when you get recognized by your support is something special. I mean, you look at teams all over the world, and they have, you know, songs or chants for players, you know, and guys that have been with their clubs for a long time. And for me to have that, it was something kind of very special. And you know, I've been asked on a couple of interviews actually, you know how I felt about it, and you know, I always say the same thing, that I love hearing it because it means that I'm doing my job. You know, it means that I'm making saves. So I mean, it's great. I take it more as a relationship with the fans. To be honest, it's something that shows me that you know, I'm there and I'm doing my job and I'm representing the club in the right way. And yeah, and the fans notice that, and you guys are great. And the relationship that I have with you guys is something special, and I don't think really happens around. I know the league for sure, but around soccer, it doesn't happen, that relationship between the fans and certain players. And I think that, you know, we got a great locker room, and that relationship can grow through the whole locker room with the fans. And for me to have my own little special niche, I guess, if you want to say, is pretty cool. Is pretty special to me. It really is.
Now, Mitch, you seem pretty humble here, but you know, I was down at Oktoberfest with my brother and sister-in-law, and let's just say she had a fangirl moment when she ran into you. I think lost her mind a little bit. Do you have any favorite moments like that, or back to being on the pitch? You have any great moments of your season you like to expand upon? Any funny stories?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the relationship with the fans is really special to me. And you know, I honestly, when I signed here, I didn't think that it would grow to be what it is. I mean, obviously, all the fans are, you know, even in awe. You know, I'm sure that you guys, you know, talk about it a lot, and about the, you know, 20,000, 30,000 fans. So when you talk about soccer in the United States, you know, you really don't think about being recognized outside, especially in the USL, outside of the field, you know. So when somebody comes up and recognizes, and I've had a lot of people just come up to my wife and I, and we'll just talk, you know, grown-ups, and they'll be like, hey, good game, or you know, whatever it may be, and we'll just talk and say hi, and we'll be on their way. But you know, there's been some special instances for sure with kids, and which is, you know, very, you know, something very special when a kid can look at you across. My wife and I were in PetSmart. Actually, you were asking for a story. So we were in PetSmart, and you know, we were just buying dog food or whatever. And this little girl comes up to me and she goes, "Are you Mitch from FC Cincinnati?" And I was like, yeah. And she's, was kind of like, wow, you're my favorite player. And that's what really hit me. And it was a very special moment, not because she, recognized me or whatever. Yeah. But it's that, she cares that much about the team in order to recognize me and to take the time out. And how kids are, they may be shy or whatever, but she came across the store to ask who I was. And for her to do that was something that really touched me. And we've had other stories like that, but yeah, I mean, fan support here, I say it all the time, fan support is great. And, just to be able to sit there and talk with people. I mean, we've sat there at restaurants or walking through the city or whatever. We'll just sit there and talk to people. So, yeah, very, very special moments. I mean, I could go on and on, to be honest, with stuff that's happened on the pitch, but, you guys are all there for that. So those ones.
Mitch, the city itself, and we've had soccer come and go in the city, and it hasn't had the greatest track record. This year was just absolutely tremendous from the support, not just off the field, but even the play on the field. To finish third place in the Eastern Conference, and really, if you think about it, if you were in the Western Conference, you would have been the 1 seed. At what point during the season, or maybe it was even during the preseason, did you realize that this team was going to have a special year as far as on the field?
To be honest, I knew it the day that I flew into Cincinnati for that press conference, and I saw the guys that they had signed. Obviously, I played with Tyler up in Minnesota, so I know how good Tyler Pollock is. And then you're signing guys that I've played college against or club. I've played against Kenny Walker my entire life, and I'm glad that he's on my team now. And Austin Berry is my age, and he was obviously a big name in Chicago. So to get him here was a massive achievement for the club. Corbin Bone, and then when we were in Florida, we got Ugo, and you have all these players, and I knew that we were going to be a special group, and I didn't realize the one thing I didn't realize was how tough it was going to be to kind of gel. I think that was the part that I underestimated. I knew that we were going to have, a great team, and we were going to be very, very talented, obviously, because, John had a certain style that he wanted to play, and they got the players to plug in there. But in order to gel as a unit, you go to teams and there's already that core, and I've never been a startup. And so you'll have that core, and you kind of just plug in guys around it, and then those guys become your core, and the cycle continues. And you come in here, and you kind of gotta learn that again. Austin's got to know, and Harry's got to know when I'm going to come for a ball, and I need to know, where they like to be, and I need to know, who to mark on who, and I need to. There's so many things that go into it, and I think that was the part that we kind of underestimated. We knew we were going to be a very talented team, but it was the developing a core and a philosophy that we really needed to kind of buy in, and John got us all to do that. And as you saw later on in the season, second half of the season really started clicking, and it really became fun.
Yeah, you talked about how amazing it's been since we've gone to. Once you guys got to gel together, and now we're really excited that our top 5 defenders get to return next year for an encore. How big is that? Do you think they can even go to a further level and become the best defense in the league next season?
Yeah, you got Terry, who's playing out of his mind. Austin, had a tough injury, but he came back even stronger. And obviously it was nice to have our captain back there. And, with Tyler and Pat bounding forward and being in the attack and covering for each other once they started to really get the hang of kind of positioning with each other, those 4. And then when and it was not many teams can plug in guys and just have them seamlessly. We had Paul Nicholson back there. We had Evan back there. We had Derek Luke back there. not many teams can plug in, 4 or 5 separate guys into the back line and it work. And we did. So, I mean, if we can get another year, if those guys keep playing together, it's going to be something fun because, the communication becomes a lot easier because you really don't have to say much, Austin's going to know where Harry is and Harry's going to know where Tyler is. And, those guys are really going to be clicking for sure.
Mitch, we saw a lot of this team on the national stage, and you specifically. I wanted to know if you had a specific moment or a save that really personally stuck out in your mind, like your favorite save of the year, for example.
I would love to say the top 3, ESPN save, because that was obviously pretty cool. And I got one better than Ugo, so that made it even better. But I think that save was more special to me because of how I went in the locker room and I was very upset going into halftime because we were down 1-0 and John could see it on my face and it was tough to go into halftime down 1-0 because we were absolutely all on top of them and they squirted through and they got a 1v1 and I tried to make myself big and they went right under me and it was just like such a fluke goal and I was like, man, I can't believe it. And that was right during the start of the season when we were just leaking goals, so it's just I was so frustrated already and that happens. And I don't think that up until that point I really had made a save in order to help the team. Yeah, I was there and I was doing my job and I was doing this, but I was kind of, just kind of frustrated. And John took me aside and, he kind of looked at me and then he looked at the group and, he had his halftime talk and we came out and I made that save. And then, we go right back or we're tied 1-1 right at that point. And then we go right back and Cat scores and we win the game 2-1. And I think that's the one that really, not because of the recognition or this and that, but it was mainly because it helped our team win the game after something that may have been prevented earlier in the game. And, so that one really sticks out in my head, not for the reason that a lot of people remember that save. Another one, to be honest, guys, I remember all the goals that have scored on me more than saves. There's some other saves and stuff, but that's the one that really kind of sticks out when you're talking about making saves.
Now, I know a lot of goalkeepers, they tend to not start out as a goalkeeper when they first start playing soccer, Mitch. So did you start off playing a different position and at what age or when did you make the switch to goalkeeper? Or were you always a goalkeeper?
I was actually always a goalkeeper. It was funny. I hope my brother's listening right now. So my brother Mike, he's 5 years older than me. He played soccer, and that's how I kind of got into it. But so this guy, when he was 6 years old, would take me as an infant, and he would plop me up against the couch, and he would shoot soccer balls and try to score. So if he hit me, obviously it was a save because I couldn't move because I was 1 year old. And if he hit the couch, he would score, right? So my mom would, she wouldn't let me play football, but she'd let my brother kick soccer balls at me at 1 year old. So, it worked out for me. So I'm not saying anything, but, so I started out playing that. And then my dad was the coach, for my brother's team, when he was 10 or so, and I wanted to play with my brother. My brother was my best friend growing up. So, I wanted to play with my brother. I didn't want to play with kids my own age. And, so my dad just put me in goal and, I was just this little tiny kid and in goal, a little 5-year-old with my brother's 10-year-old team. And I kind of just grew up. And then I started playing, then you start playing soccer without the goalie. and I would, score a bunch of goals. So then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be a forward and stuff. And I tried that for a while, but somehow I made myself back into the goal, and I just always enjoyed it. I love scoring goals, but the feeling of saving a goal and being back there is something that really kind of resonated with me. So I kind of went on with the goalkeeping aspect of the game and really found a passion for it.
Now, we saw John Bush from the Indy 11 squad take a penalty kick in the NASL championship. Where are you on that pecking order as far as penalty kickers for FC Cincinnati?
Yeah, I mean, I was number one, but, Ugo took the first one. So, we had a penalty shootout in preseason, and I won. But Ugo took the very first one, and, he kind of beat me to it. So then he became our penalty kicker. So, I don't know. I don't know if John would let me take a PK, to be honest. But we got a lot of good players. So for me, I'll just stop a couple and end it with those guys scoring. So I don't know. I mean, John's pretty old, right? So he's what, 39, 40. So he's got a lot more experience in that, and I haven't really taken that many penalties. So I'd like to see how many penalties he scored, to be honest. I mean, it was
one of the things that we're all interested in.
It's all in good fun, though. So
of course.
Just kind of the goalkeeper union, I guess. Anything you can do, I can do better, right?
Right. Well, one of the things we're all interested in is what your off-season plans look like.
Yeah, I'm just kind of hanging out right now. I mean, I'm working out, and I'm in the gym, and I'm doing some goalkeeping on the side, trying to keep it light. But right now, I'm going to Xavier volleyball games. So if anybody wants to come and hang out with me at Xavier volleyball games, you guys are more than welcome. They got a pretty good team this year. They're going to the Big East tournament next week. So that's pretty big time. But yeah, I'm just enjoying time with my wife. I've been apart for 4 years now. So anytime I can spend with her is special to me. So that I get to watch her teams play is something that I'm not taking for granted, because I've never been able to. So Jamie Starr likes to come out with me to Xavier volleyball games. So anybody that wants to come, we're more than happy. Senior nights on Saturday. So you come and hang out. They, I know for our fans, they sell beer. So you guys are more than welcome to come out.
Got a quick question, Mitch. Do you mind if we take some callers from fans that want to talk to you, Mitch?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. If you want to call in and have your question, and if you want to ask Mitch a question, feel free to give us a ring. Actually, let's go to Brad from Clifton, who's on the line. Brad, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. How we doing tonight?
Good. How about you? Got a question for Mitch?
Absolutely, I do. So, Mitch, first of all, I just wanted to say I'm a season ticket holder. I loved every minute of sitting behind you in the Bailey this season. Especially, I love the celebration at the end, as I'm sure we all did when you stand on the spot and cheer with us. It's fantastic. Wanted to know if you had heard maybe from any old colleagues over at Minnesota United, about their transition into MLS, and then if you could just expand upon what you think, the role of MLS expansion is, in the American soccer pyramid, how that's turning out.
Yeah, I mean, I love you guys sitting behind me too. I mean, it's great. And the celebration, man, that's kind of taken off, hasn't it? But, yeah, I mean, obviously I've spoken to a couple of guys, in Minnesota. I know that they're starting to release a little bit of their roster. I knew that a couple of those guys that I played with, had signed already. So it's good for them. I'm happy for them. And, they're putting together, they're putting together a good squad up there, So a couple of guys I played with before there, a couple of guys I played with there. Did an interview with, one of their blogs the other week. So spoke with those guys. But I mean, it's, I saw firsthand the the expansion to MLS. You know, when I first joined Minnesota, we were league owned, very, very small budget, kind of just hanging on because they needed the team. And then in stepped an owner, and he had the vision to take it MLS, and they did within 2 years of him owning it. So, you know, the MLS expansion is very attainable, and with our fan base, you know, with the passion that our ownership group has, it's very, very obtainable. And I think that, you know, it's not everything. Obviously, you know, we have a fan base that's very passionate, but, you know, as players, you want to play at the highest level possible. And our ownership group and Jeff Birding and John have not hid the fact that they want to compete against the best, and they want to go to the MLS. So, yeah, obviously, you know, they have all the cards in their hands, and we'll see what happens. But it's definitely off to a very, very, very good start, in my opinion.
All right, Mitch. Well, thanks very much for taking my call. I just want to say you've taken the hearts of pretty much everyone in the city, and we'll support you no matter where you go. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in.
Good question, Brad. That's a good call. Again, if you want to give us a ring, 513-399-KICK. We'll be here with Mitch for a couple more minutes talking a little FCC soccer. Believe it or not, Mitch, my mother, Pat, is one of your biggest fans. She used my season tickets all season long, and she wanted to ask the question, what has been your hardest decision when it comes to soccer?
My hardest decision when it comes to soccer. Wow, that's a very good question. I think my hardest was probably going to college.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big step in any athlete, any sport, and you want to. I mean, obviously the glitz and glamour of big schools kind of. You know, I know a bunch of guys that were on youth national teams, and they went to these big schools and they kind of fizzled out. You know, so you got that, and then you got the draw of. You know, good soccer programs. You know, I was very, very fortunate to land where I did. And I didn't think that I would. I still talk with the coach to this day. His name's Eric Pogue, good friend of mine. And he kind of turned me into the goalkeeper I am. And I was lucky enough to play behind, for a couple of years, play behind and train with Steve Clark, who's up with the Columbus Crew now. And, you know, fortunate to have him as a very good friend now. So we speak pretty regularly, and yeah, I mean, it's funny, things just work out. You know, I never thought that I'd go to Oakland University, and I was being recruited by some big schools, and I was lucky enough to go there, and you know, I met my wife there, and I turned into the goalkeeper that I am there, and so you know, it's a very hard decision turned into looking back into it, turned into the right decision for sure.
Now, Mitch, we've kind of asked most of your fellow players these questions, and actually it also got sent in to us by a Twitter follower, Brian Haynes. What are your 3 favorite places to eat in the Queen City?
My 3 favorite places to eat. Yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of a homebody, so I like to cook a lot. But my wife and I were big pizza people, so we go to Mellow Mushroom a lot. And then I am known at Sleepy Bee, which is a breakfast spot here in Oakley. We started going there. I went there every morning of home games. So every Saturday morning, we would walk up there and we'd go to breakfast. So Sleepy Bee is definitely up there. And then every time we had family come in, we would always go to the Yard House, or we started going to Moorlines a lot more, but we would always go to Yard House down on the bank. So I'm a big fan of those. We're also big Montgomery Inn fans.
Nice.
All right.
And yeah, I do like barbecue. And Austin, when we came in for that press conference, Austin took us all to Montgomery Inn. and showed us the ways. So, I do like to go there. My wife likes Eli's. I haven't had Eli's.
Oh man, you got to go.
We got to check. We got to check that one out. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna plug this one real quick. I wasn't gonna bring it up because everybody on the team thinks I'm like the super healthy guy because I pack my own salads on the road and stuff. But I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully everybody forgets it. I go to Graders at least 4 times a week.
Wow.
And it's not because of my wife. I like to blame it on her, but I just Graders is just the best ice cream I've ever had in my entire life. So, if somebody's listening from Graders and, they want to do something with the club, I'm more than willing to help facilitate that. And I'm definitely down. But so I was going to bring it up, but my wife's sitting right next to me and she's making me say this. So
Thank you, Amber.
I'll go ahead and say it. Yeah. Thank you, Amber.
So you mentioned two big Cincinnati staples when it comes to food. You missed a big one. Have you had Skyline chili yet?
Oh, I knew you were gonna. I was listening to Ugo's interview, and I knew you were gonna ask me that.
So you had a whole week to go there and try it.
Yeah. I'm from Metro Detroit, right? So we have the Coney dogs. We have Lafayette. We have American Coney Islands, and we have Senate Coney Island. And I feel like I would be cheating if I went and had Skyline. So I heard the chili. I heard it's really good, but it's just one thing I can't let go of. But I mean, there's one right down the road, so I drive past it every day, and I feel like I have to one day, but I haven't yet.
Well, you definitely should. I recommend it. And I know what you mean. I actually live up here in Toledo, not too far from Detroit, and they have their own kind of chili mac up here, but it's not. I won't eat it because I feel like I'm cheating on Skyline. So I know how you feel.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do it. But I kind of got turned off. So you can answer this question since you seem like a Skyline person. Somebody said they put chocolate in the chili. I heard that, and I go, I can't do it. They said that. I mean, if somebody was wrong, then I blame it on them. But I heard that there was chocolate, and I just go, it's kind of one of those fears, I just don't know how it would be. But, I mean, if you want to drive down here from Toledo, well, I'm more than willing to go and try some Skyline for you.
That sounds like a date. Are you asking me on a date? Because I'm all for it.
I mean, yeah, if you want to call it a date, I mean, I expect flowers.
All right, cool.
First wife.
That's the line of the season with this podcast, Mitch. I need flowers.
Tonight, I'm glad I can make it special.
That's awesome. I want to ask you a quick question too. We watched the U.S. struggle on Friday night against Mexico, and I know you probably have some goalkeepers that you grew up kind of idolizing or watching or modeling your game after. But when you see a guy like Tim Howard go down like that, and what are you thinking? And is Tim Howard one of those guys you look up to in that goalkeeper union?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Tim Howard's been this country's best for a very long time, and he'll continue to do so. I mean, I read that he's going in for surgery. So, obviously as a fellow goalkeeper, you never want to see that happen. But yeah, I mean, growing up, I used to watch him with the Metro Stars, and then obviously going to United, and I was very happy when he went to Everton and he kind of found his place there because, he became kind of a staple of that club, and that's something that should be very valued, especially within this profession. And, you could see it even with his last game. They didn't want him to leave. But I mean, he's definitely been that guy to, carry the goalkeeping tradition of this country. I mean, you had guys before him like Casey Keller and Brad Friedel and Tony Miola, and the list goes on and on. But, yeah, I mean, he's definitely a guy that you look up to for sure, and he's the guy that I kind of I heard a quote one time from him, and it stuck with me for a very, it'll probably stuck with me forever. But he's the one that kind of made me realize how lucky you are to play in games. Because, like I said, I had 4 years in Minnesota where I wasn't playing, and it's very, very tough. So, to go and really play every game for your club and every game for your country. And if you can be out there, you're out there. And, that's kind of something that will always resonate with me. But goalkeeping wise, I grew up as an Oliver Kahn fan, in Germany. I just like the way that he played, kind of a big brute in there. Not really my style, but, I grew up liking Iker Casillas as well. And, I think a little bit of my games transferred from him. And, there's a lot for sure.
Now, a question that's a little bit of a lighter note, but unfortunately you may make 23 other guys mad at you in the locker room. But out of all your FC Cincinnati teammates, who was the toughest shot to face in practice?
Oh, the toughest shot to face. We got some guys that can hit a ball. Ugo is very deceptive. Ugo's very deceptive. Jimmy and Rita can really kind of whip in a ball, so you really got to worry for them. But the hardest shot is definitely Kenny. Kenny, when he uncorks one, it's unreal. I mean, when we do set pieces and they have, I think he lives for set pieces, so he can just hit a ball at me as hard as he can, because this guy sits on the top of the 18. He just lines balls up, and you don't know where they're going, and they just fly. So when Kenny gets a hold of one, I hope that, it kind of hits me, to be honest.
Well, that's awesome. We know he's got a rocket of a shot. We saw it a few times this year. Would like to see more of those go in the net, but he definitely does have a rocket for a foot. That's a good choice there. Mitch, we certainly appreciate the time. Congratulations on a tremendous 2016. Congratulations on the award, and I hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving as well. And I'm looking forward to sitting down and having some Skyline with you.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was fun. You guys have a great holiday as well. And, obviously Skyline. I'm going to be going through Toledo as well on my way home for Thanksgiving. So we'll do a home and home match,
Nice. And tell Amber good luck as well for us.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a good one. Okay.
You too.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.
All right. Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Bye. That is Mitch Hildebrandt, the goalkeeper of the year in the USL. We appreciate him taking some time joining us here on the Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Apparently, I'm going to have some Skyline with him. I'm going to have to make that happen, gentlemen. Maybe we can do that hopefully before November 29th, maybe on the 29th. He'll probably be pretty busy that day, as will everybody at FC Cincinnati. Again, we appreciate Mitch taking the time to joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. If you want to get in touch with us, 513-399-KICK. That's 513-399-KICK. Let's welcome into the show Chad Smith. Chad is joining us from Kansas City. He's a writer over at the Blue Testament, and he joins us now here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Chad, welcome to the program, man.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little MLS expansion, shall we? I'm looking at your article that you posted here earlier this month. A lot of in-depth information about all the different cities that are kind of in that race to be expanded into MLS. But more importantly, what really stood out to me was that you've got FC Cincinnati rated #1 in your rankings, your power rankings for expansion. Fill us in on that, and why do you think FC Cincinnati is maybe a gutsy choice?
Yeah, so, a lot of different things have been going on with expansion. I've kind of got a fascination with it, even though we write about Sporting Kansas City over there on the Blue Testament and all the other Kansas City soccer teams. I just have this, special spot in my heart for dealing with expansion. I kind of missed most of expansion and all the other major sports franchises in the world, or at least here in America. So it's kind of cool to talk about it. But, The reason I bumped them up the list finally is because, Miami, it's been 1,000 days since they were announced, 1,000 plus days now since they were announced that they were going to get an MLS club, and they still can't quite get their act together. They don't have an owner. Beckham is not going to, he doesn't have the funds to be the primary owner. They don't have a stadium site. They have a hopeful stadium site. There's just so many roadblocks in the way for them, and Cincinnati just has so much going for them right now. Obviously, the attendance is remarkable, like crushed the next closest USL teams around them. My poor School Park Rangers are pulling in like a couple thousand fans, over there in Kansas City playing alongside Sporting KC. And then they fill a spot on the map. The MLS loves to put teams in spaces where they don't have teams, and that's kind of what they did with Minnesota. And Cincy fills out that Midwest really well. And then the biggest knock I keep hearing against Cincinnati is that they don't have a plan for a soccer-specific stadium, but it's 35,000 plus seats, and I believe it's called Nippert. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly.
You got it right, yeah.
But that's a lot of Nippert. Nailed it? Okay, cool. So 35,000 plus seats, and they sold over 30,000 on several occasions, and no one else is coming close to that. Sacramento, who everybody kind of puts there as the next team to jump up to MLS, they only have 11,000 seats at Bonnie Field. So it's not really comparable, and that's not MLS caliber. So
now to kind of bring it back into USL for a second, your Swope Park Rangers doing a lot of great things. I've kind of looked at this approach that this sport is going to grow, regionally, then but on a national level. Now, do you think, a USL relationship with FC Cincinnati and maybe Swope Park could breed into something maybe further down the road with a Sporting Kansas City, maybe if one day we get to MLS?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, the thing about USL, since it's such a big league and they're trying to save money by not having the Eastern Conference teams play the Western Conference teams, it's kind of a bummer, because even though Cincinnati is relatively close to Kansas City, we fly out and they play Seattle and Vancouver and all those West Coast teams, because Kansas City is currently aligned in the Western Conference. So it'd be nice to see some of that cross area playing. And I've actually seen where they're talking about USL as it continues to grow, and the president keeps talking about expansion, that there's the potential to split it into 3 conferences, have an East, West, and a Central. And that'd be pretty cool, because I'd have to imagine be a good chance for the Swope Park Rangers, Kansas City team, to get lumped in with FC Cincinnati. Even if they move up to MLS, I'm no doubt they're probably going to keep a USL franchise, just like Orlando has theirs, even though they just moved up, because you can see the value in it and how much it's helping out the major club, the MLS club.
Now, do you think that with St. Louis coming on board with the two groups, I guess you have Foundry and then you have, I think it's MLS2 STL or something along those lines. Have you heard any updates on those two, and maybe their timeline that could maybe push out an FC Cincinnati?
I think they almost maybe even hurt each other, that there's 2 competing ownership groups in St. Louis, and one of them seems to have ties to St. Louis FC, who, they've been relatively successful, but in terms of, drawing a crowd, but it's nothing on the scale of what FC Cincinnati is doing. So I would have to think they'd have to really step up their game and kind of get uniform and get together on a plan. There's 2 competing plans, the one on the St. Louis University campus, that's the Foundry St. Louis group, and then having the other one that's potentially a downtown site, but they don't even have it locked in, and they have multiple years to buy that land. I don't know where they play in the meantime. Obviously, the Rams stadium is empty, so they could use the Edward Jones Dome or whatever they're calling it now. But I can't see them bumping ahead. I think your biggest points of rivalry would be if Miami can get their act together, or if Sacramento can get that bit.
Now, you made a pretty bold statement in your article saying that you thought that FC Cincinnati was going to leapfrog Miami and join MLS in 2018. Can you go into a little bit about what went into that prediction for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So a bunch of different factors weigh in there for me. So, I talked about filling in the gap and things like that, but MLS kind of has a thing for billionaires. They keep charging bigger and bigger expansion fees each time out. it was reported that LAFC, which will be the second LA franchise joining in 2018, paid $110 million, and they're talking about going up to $200 million over the coming years and the coming expansion. So you guys having a billionaire owning FC Cincinnati isn't going to hurt that cause. So they obviously have the money if they need to do it. And then I think one thing that the Sacramento people, they're really hopeful about. The expansion committee is getting together, and Garber made a promise earlier this year that they may know something by the end of Kevin Johnson's term. He's the mayor of Sacramento, but he made that promise on April 14th, which was when he was out there visiting their little town hall like you guys are doing here in a couple of weeks. But then something really important happened on April 16th. You guys had your first home game and brought in over 20,000 fans. So I think that kind of shook things up, because Cincinnati wasn't even on Garber's lips 2 days before, but I bet it started to after the 16th, after they had all that attendance.
Now, you talk a little bit about, filling those spots in the Midwest. One thing that made me curious reading your article is, how do you think the existence of the Columbus Crew, or Crew SC now, I guess they're better known as, will impact FCC getting either into MLS, or the success of either club with the rivalry or a split of fans, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I honestly don't think it will hurt them, because think about Sacramento's trying to come in, and they're not too terribly far away from San Jose, and there's multiple teams in California already, about to be 2 teams in Los Angeles. So the same thing that's going on over there would apply in Ohio, and it's basically where you're going to have these rivalries, which the MLS, I believe, loves these regional rivalries, which is why I think they want to put a team in St. Louis actually as well. St. Louis has got this big soccer culture and history, and if they can get everything together and get all their ducks in a row, they'd love to have them have a cross-state rivalry there with Sporting Kansas City, and then Chicago Fires just down the road, because the Cubs and the Cardinals in baseball and Major League Baseball, they really kind of have this heated rivalry. So putting a team right in the middle of those cities, I think, would just help. And I think the same applies for Cincinnati and Columbus Crew over in Ohio.
Chad, what do you say to the soccer aficionado that voices their displeasure at the expansion system the way it is, and would prefer a true pyramid where there's promotion and relegation? I know it's not going to come anytime soon with MLS, but don't you feel that expansion really it should be earned on the field and not with your wallet?
I totally get that sentiment, and I've definitely gotten a bunch of the Twitter warriors out there angry at me when I write things about MLS expansion, because they just see it as the deepest pockets and everything moving ahead. And I see both sides of the argument. My logic would be, look, I get MLS. Why give it away? Why let some other team rise up when you can make money off of it? We're a capitalist country. You should take advantage of that. I actually wrote a fantasy piece several months back about how Pro-Rel could exist inside of MLS. It just made the Pro-Rel people mad, because they wanted to obviously be an open system versus inside of MLS. But it was essentially like rapid expansion over a period of time, and then it's splitting into 2 leagues. So it was kind of a fun thing to play with and toy around with in my mind. But I just don't see why MLS, they're not incentivized in any way to let people come into their system without them collecting that money, that big expansion fee that then they can share amongst all the owners who are there and through all these tough times that MLS went through back in the 90s and even the early 2000s, when it was a struggle to keep a professional league afloat here in America. So I don't see it going the other way and entirely opening up, but I would be interested in some sort of version of promotion and relegation.
I can't believe it took us 40 episodes to get to the Pro-Rel topic.
I know. I can see the angry comments coming already.
Well, I was going to get there next, but I'll switch up here. What's the what do you think is the largest MLS will ever expand to? And that includes, in your option that maybe there is a Pro-Rel avenue someday.
It's a good question. Garber keeps saying 28 teams. That's the target. We'll probably end at 28. I just think that's a way to artificially pump up the fight for these next few spots. We're we're essentially at 22 with Minnesota, well, 23 really, with Minnesota and Atlanta for sure joining next year, LAFC for sure joining in 2018, and then Miami lingering out there as that 24th team that's been granted but can't get their act together. I don't think it'll stop at 28. I mean, if they were to go with the model of other professional leagues here in America, it would be 38 or 32, depending. But I feel like soccer's so different and so unique, and there's so many pockets, and it's growing so fast that they could go beyond that if they did want to potentially look at a two-league system with promotion relegation. I said it in my post, and I say it again. If Sporting Kansas City were to ever be demoted or relegated, so to speak, down to the second division, it wouldn't stop me from being a fan of them. I'd still root for them all the way through. And, it'd be that much of an extra fight to move up again. So as long as it doesn't go to like a European model where there's no salary cap and they can basically spend unlimited and the top 4 or 5 teams stay up there all the time, like in the Premier League, I think it'll always be exciting, and there'll always be a lot of drama attached to every game. You can see that with the playoff race. Almost every team is in the playoff race until, a few weeks to go, even though just a little over half the league gets into the playoffs right now.
Well, I know you cover mostly Sporting Kansas City, but obviously Swope Park had a successful USL season. Congrats to them. And, FC Cincinnati, they went to St. Louis this year. So, I mean, Kansas City's not that much further. Maybe down the road, the league will schedule some games out there and take on Swope. That'd be pretty cool to make that road trip.
Yeah, no, we'd be excited to have you guys come to town, and I imagine you guys probably travel pretty well, so it might double the capacity of the stadium.
Awesome stuff, Chad. Appreciate your time. If folks want to check out the stuff you write about, where can they find you at?
Yeah, so I'm at thebluetestament.com. I'm one of the writers over there. We're on the SB Nation site. You guys will need to get one of those if you get MLS Expansion. And then you can find me on Twitter at Play490. So PLAYFOR and the number 90.
Good stuff, Chad. Appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
That's Chad Smith from thebluetestament.com giving us the inside scoop on MLS Expansion. He has currently in his expansion power rankings, he's got FC Cincinnati rated at number 1 ahead of teams like Miami and, believe it or not, why am I dropping Sacramento? There we go. I was drawing a blank on that team out in California. So good stuff from Chad. We appreciate his time. We've got a few minutes left here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. If you want to give us a ring, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. Let's talk about Friday night's debacle in Columbus. The United States lose 2-1 to Mexico. First time they've given up a goal to Mexico in Columbus. It was just not a very good night all around for the United States. Let's start with you, Brad. You were there. You were having a good time. Your voice is just now recovering. Your thoughts on that match?
I was sick to my stomach as soon as I saw the 3-4-3/3-5-2. I was telling Brian, but I have to say it was one of the coolest atmospheres that I've ever been to, and I really feel like that was the way the soccer should be. There are American fans all over the place, but there were also some Mexican fans there, and we had a good time bantering back and forth. But they invited us over and made us food. And Jono and I know that we probably had the hottest salsa we've ever had in our lives. I think it's so bad that made Jono cry a little bit, but it was overall a lot of fun. I'm just disappointed in the result, and I hope that Klinsmann doesn't screw it up again.
How about you, Brian? You were there. Were you surprised at the formation? I know I was.
Yeah, actually, I was advocating for that, that formation, just to show you how much I know. But too bad Michael Bradley didn't know what he was doing out on a green football pitch for about 45 minutes. I think that hurt us. But I kind of want to expand a little bit about the atmosphere, and also want to criticize Powerade for bringing the Hope solo of goalkeeper dummies, denying me in the pregame. I think y'all saw that on the video, but
that was so great.
It was awful. I think U.S. Soccer and American Outlaws, I think they're both hand in hand here. I think they tried to do too many things to either regulate or, how do I say it to not sound condescending, but just they took a lot of the atmosphere, I believe, out of the game with the little card trick, and they had people walking around saying, "Don't mess up. We're part of AO National. We're gonna watch. Make sure people aren't." I just think it took a lot of fun out of the game. I understand that we need to be aware of the situation and everything, but I mean, we're adults here, and I feel like that. At the end of the day, they hurt the crowd, and I'll kind of disagree with my twin brother here. That crowd was nothing compared to previous years. The atmosphere, it just wasn't there. And I don't think it was due to like the AO Capos and those people. I think they tried their hardest, and I said that to them. I think they did a better job organizing. I just think there's just differences, out there that kind of took away from the game. So, unfortunate there. It didn't hurt that the team came out and laid a turd in the first 45 minutes too.
I think you're just upset that you got blocked by that goalkeeper, and Jared Handra calmly put it in the top right corner.
There was like 17 people, including 2 10-year-olds, that had made it that whole time before Jared and I went up, and that was open for like 4 hours, so I don't feel horrible about myself.
I don't know about you, and again, I'm nitpicking, and I don't want this to be taken as me ripping on Mexico at all, but I didn't like that the two teams took that group photo together before the game. To me, I don't want to cozy up to my opponent. And
I kind of agree.
I thought that was – and I trust me, I get exactly why they did it, especially with the week that we had as a country. But, man, could you ever picture the Bengals and Browns cozying up for a group photo before a football game? Could you imagine Ohio State and Michigan cozying up for a photo? It just wouldn't happen. And to me, I just thought I didn't like that, and that right away just signaled, oh, something's not right here. Like these are our rivals. We should not be hugging one another before the game. I'm not saying that's why we lost, but I don't know. That just really kind of it bugged me.
Preach.
I get what you guys are saying, but you're wrong, both of you. This result has nothing to do with Columbus. It had nothing to do with the atmosphere. It had everything to do with the dumbest formation put out there.
No, I agree with you. I just from an opponent standpoint, I don't know. I don't see that.
Yosef?
Oh well, I mean, I don't really care. I'm pretty chill. I don't really care about a picture. I see your point. I'm not dismissing that. Like I said, I thought a draw would be great out of that. Yeah, even in Columbus, and that was only reaffirmed when I saw that. Whatever that formation was, trotted out there. I mean, it's not the formation itself that bothered me. It's the fact that, it's not a team. They didn't play. They're playing Mexico. It's not a team that you can experiment against. And when was the last time they did that formation? Like 3 years ago? And your best center back's hurt, and you're not playing your best winger. You're playing. You're playing Chandler instead of Yedlin. Come on, give me a break. Like. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying Yellen's God's gift to Earth, but
he's not starting tonight.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying it's kind of a BS reason to demote somebody because they went to the second division of the English pyramid, which is. But anyway.
Again, I know what you mean, and again, I don't want it to. I'm not saying that's why they lost the game. I don't like the image of the two. Maybe after the game, but before the game, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. Love to hear your feedback, though. FC Cincinnati fans, Cincinnati Soccer Talk at SPNT.TV. We've got some news coming from the club this week about some new signings, don't we, Brian?
Yeah, we had 15, player signings for FC Cincinnati this week. A lot of good returners, not much surprise with Austin Berry, Andrew Reedman, but we did see, Harrison Delbridge. We saw Hope a couple of key contributors, top to bottom of the roster. But I think, more of the news was that, Coley and Hildebrandt, who our guest was tonight, were not on that list. And I think it's putting us in a good core group, but I think that there's still going to be a lot more work that needs to be done with this roster.
And I think the way Mitch was talking tonight, it sounds to me like he's going to be back. I mean, if Amber, if you're still listening to this, do a little recruiting. I know you do that for your job with the women's volleyball team. Do a little recruit, get Mitch on our team. But I'm really interested to see who else they're able to sign from the outside. I'm not sure we're going to see a ton of other returnees, like maybe I thought Eric Stevenson would. But, I'd basically be if you bring Mitch back, you're going to bring probably 2 other goalies back. So all of a sudden now you're at 18 players. You're talking about another 5 to 8 additional players that we're going to have for next year if they stick with 25. So I'm interested to see who they're able to bring in that would be a difference maker within those 8 that could replace the 15 that we brought back, with a lot of those being returning starters.
I was really.
go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, no, I just want to throw out. I was stoked. I'm not sure what'll come of it, but I was stoked to see Big Cat back, Omar Cummings, and the other Omar as well on the opposite side of the spectrum. As far as he's a really young talent. We didn't get to see a whole lot of him this year, but I'm looking forward to having him on the team, and I think he has a really bright future ahead of him. And as a Bearcat guy, I really, really can't emphasize enough how happy it is I am to see Omar Cummings feeling well enough to come back to play soccer and playing it in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's good to have him back. Hopefully he'll be healthy for the start of the year. When he was in there, when he was finally healthy to get going there in the middle of the season, things really, really were moving well for that offense for FC Cincinnati. We were putting balls in the back of the net, and then they had to scramble towards the end of the year when he went down. So let's hopefully he can stay healthy here for 2017. Glad to have him back in the fold. And hopefully, as Brad said, we're going to have Mitch Hildebrandt and Shauna Coley back in the fold as well here for 2017. Of course, if there's any news surrounding those guys, we'll be updating our website with articles and posts at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Time to wrap up episode 40. We'll start with you, Brian Weigel. Your final thoughts?
Oh, just excited for this upcoming couple weeks. Make sure to stay tuned out there. The supporters groups. Hopefully, we'll have a couple of them on next week to discuss the upcoming Garber visit. But we're going to have some more information coming out there, including welcoming Garber, doing a pub crawl. I think they've already said they've had 3 or 4 bars step up. We've got some cups, I think, on order. So it should be a pretty cool evening. So definitely stay tuned, and I can't wait for the 29th. 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's quickly, very rapidly approaching. Good stuff, Brian. Appreciate it. Final thoughts, Joseph Sagai?
The best place to find the information is right here. A lot of the supporters groups are in full-on Garber mode, so it's something great to look out for. And also, we glossed over the fact that Mitch said how much he likes pizza, so I'm just throwing it out there. Mellow Mushroom is a good pizza, but just throwing it out there, Mitch. I know you're gonna re-listen, so Nick likes Skyline. I like pizza. Just throwing it out there, bud.
I let you off the hook and didn't do Ask Joseph this week too, so we'll save it for another time, buddy.
All right.
Final thoughts, Brad Weigel?
Yeah. For those of you who are looking to make an excuse to hang out with some cool FC Cincinnati people, on Thursday night, FC Cincinnati's launching their new Imperial Blood Orange IPA. And it's going to be a larger sized version. It's about 22-ounce bottle. But one of the things I want to let everybody know is that it will not be at Christian Moorline. It will be at the Malt House Tap Room in OTR. So I think it runs Thursday night, November 17th from 6 to 7:30. So I hope to see some of my fellow FC Cincinnati friends there. And then also DI, if you are a member of DI, make sure you RSVP for the DI party this Saturday.
Good stuff, Brad. Appreciate all that you do for the show. Glad to have you back as well. It's been a while. My final thoughts this week is, again, just the last 2 episodes of this podcast have been tremendous. We had Shauna Coley. We had Mitch Hildebrandt on this week. I mean, it's been I can't believe we've done 40 episodes of this thing already. I mean, this is absolutely flown by. We appreciate we got to give Fumi a big shout-out, media relations director at FC Cincinnati. She's been a big help in getting us these folks on the program. So Fumi Kimura, we appreciate all that you've done for us here in these 40 episodes. It was a good chat. Really enjoyed chatting with Mitch, and we appreciate him taking the time for joining us this week on the podcast. Again, if you're listening to the podcast and you want to catch a live show, we do record these live every Tuesday night at 8:00 Eastern at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. We've got video. If you missed the video, you didn't get a chance to see Brian with this cool Mitch Says No sign behind him. We've got Joseph sporting the flat-billed FC Cincinnati cap. And, of course, Brad's wearing his Mitch Says No shirt. And I'm sporting the old school. I can now say old school Cincinnati Soccer Talk polo because we do have the new logo. So it's a good time. You should check it out every Tuesday night at 8:00 Eastern. But, of course, if you can't make it, you could always download our audio and video on demand. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. Leave us an iTunes review as well if you have a moment. If you like the show and you're really digging what we're doing here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, leave us a review on iTunes, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/iTunes. I think that's going to do it for episode 40. We appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody downloading it. We really do. We do appreciate all the support that you have given this podcast this season here at 2016, and we're really looking forward to bigger and better things here for 2017. Of course, my thanks to Brad Weigel, Brian Weigel, and Joseph Sagai. Cincinnati Soccer Talk is an SPNT production. For more information about our podcast, log on to spnt.tv. And as always, check out our FCC content over at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. I'm Subes, reminding you to watch your tackles, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Mitch Says No.